Hi everyone, welcome back. We are now at 57 subscribers. Thank you so much for the support. We are on the road to 100 subscribers and I know we'll get there soon. So our last video did really well and I'm hoping this one can reach 200 and or even 300 views. So please like, share and subscribe and make sure to watch until the very end. Now let's get into making some soft fluffy naan bread. So for this recipe, the main ingredients are wheat flour, fresh dhania, crushed garlic, yeast, and in this case, if you don't have the yeast, you can use baking soda plus baking powder. It works well. Then 1 egg, then natural yogurt. I got the probiotic yogurt from Brookside, then milk, and also a cup of warm water. So the first thing I do is mix some warm water with yeast and a little sugar, and I just let that sit for a few minutes so the yeast can activate. Then while the activation is happening, I go ahead and mix my dry ingredients. So using some flour, sugar and a pinch of salt. And I forgot to mention that I used butter, and if you prefer oil, that's okay. Next, you can see that the yeast is activating, and honestly, I was so happy about it because it's actually my first time in my life making naan bread. So now I start mixing the dry ingredients. So first I measure out the flour or flour as you call it, then add in some salt and sugar. Then from there I begin adding the wet ingredients to bring everything together. So after kneading, I let the dough rest for about an hour and 30 minutes so it could really settle and rise. You really need patience during this process if you're using yeast, but if you're using baking soda plus the baking powder instead, about 30 to 40 minutes is enough. So once the dough was ready, I roll it out into flat pieces and started cooking. Then while cooking, I added my garlic and dhania paste for extra flavor, and I made sure all the sides were nicely cooked. Yeah. At this point, don't worry too much about the shape of the bread. As you can see, they're looking so good at this point, and I was honestly so happy about the outcome. So let me give you a short story of how I actually started cooking. So back in secondary school, we had a subject called home science, Home science was one of the applied sciences in our school, along with agriculture, computer studies, and business studies. So, what made home science special was that it had a lot of practicals, cooking, and even making clothes. I loved it very, very, very much because at the time I dreamt of becoming a fashion designer or a nutritionist. Yeah. So, well, yeah, life happened, and somehow I ended up becoming a geospecialist instead. Yeah, but those classes were amazing. We learned so many cooking styles, from baking to preparing breakfast to even making meals out of leftovers. And presentation was also important because it counted in our exams. That's really where my cooking journey started. So from there, I kept teaching myself new recipes, experimenting, and also practicing. So at one point, I even started inviting my friends over to test my food. And honestly, those who know me can testify that my food is tasty, well cooked, presented with care, and always made in a clean environment. So yeah, and that's how I ended up here today, sharing this naan bread recipe with you all. Thank you. Finally, I finished cooking the naan bread and they turned out so soft, fluffy, and golden brown. I was so proud of myself, especially because this was my very first time ever making naan breads. So yeah, for the serving, I kept it simple but tasty. I paired the naan breads with some green peas, that is minji, and also used the leftover yogurt from the dough mixing. Yeah, so nothing goes to waste here. So this whole experience has taught me something with cooking. It's really not about perfection. You don't need the naan breads to be identical in shape or everything to look like it came from a restaurant. So what matters is the process, the patience, and the joy of creating something from scratch. And at the end of the day, the food is made with love, and that's what makes it taste the best. So yeah, I was so happy with the outcome, and I can't wait to try making naan breads again, maybe with different size of flavors. And honestly, if I can make naan breads on my first try, you can too. So don't be afraid to give it a shot in your own kitchen.